You know, I just absolutely adore the feeling that produces inside me when I'm listening to Gregorian and Ambrosian chants. I have this premeditative, medieval, sequestered ambiance in meditation. It's just a wonderful feeling that these chants produce. And you know, I never listen to the Latin that's being sung. They're all sung in Latin, and I've studied Latin for over 20 years, and I understand them, and I can read them perfectly, but I never listen to the Latin. I never hear the Latin. What I hear is the providence. I don't pay attention to the vernacular. I pay attention to the providence. And that's always, I found, very enticing and mystifying to me, that I always concentrate on the beauty and sound of the chant, not the Latin that is sung. It's really strange. And then after that meditation's over, I find myself awakened to the reality that is my life and is me. And I find that I have to make a video right now and talk about something that I'm deeply sensitive about and deeply regretful to speak to you. But it is something that I feel needs to be addressed, and it just dispirits me. I was going to make this video yesterday, but I declined to make the video yesterday. I wasn't in good spirits. I was terribly depressed. And my girlfriend even asked me, she said, "Aren't you going to make that video? Did you upload the video?" I said, "No." I said, "I didn't do it. I didn't want to do it. I don't want to do it. This is a subject that is just so sensitive for me." And it's not just YouTube. I'm going to pick on YouTube right now, but it's just on YouTube. This is happening over all the platforms. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're all under attack on all the platforms. When I first started on YouTube, I was so full of ideas. I was invigorated. I couldn't believe that I could just take a camera and run with so many ideas and experiment in so many different fields and so many different subjects. And that's what I did. I brought to you my childhood, where I grew up. I gave you historical data. I gave you and shot historical locations. I filmed all those kinds of great historical things. I filmed spooky graveyards. I walked around in them and showed you weird gravestones and all that kind of stuff. And I continued to grow. You know, I was so full of ideas, and I'm still full of ideas that I want to share with you and do all kinds of things on YouTube. And then I graduated from that, and I find myself in a very unfortunate set of circumstances where I find myself homeless, and I filmed the streets of Pittsburgh, and I filmed other people on the streets of Pittsburgh and what it was like to be homeless, and I shared all that content with you, and it was very sensitive, and it was very dark, and it was very bleak time in my life, but I had a camera, and I had an opportunity, and I ran with it, and I filmed all those, and they've garnered thousands of views, and I'm very proud of that series. It was completely unplanned. It was completely unadulterated, not edited. There's not one single video in that series that's edited. It's just pure 100% Mark Grego. That's it. And I ran with that idea, and it worked. And I'm very proud of that, and I still want to continue to do that kind of content. But now I'm under supervision. I am under regulation, where YouTube is censoring everything that a person does. I'm speaking to the viewer, and I'm speaking to the creator. Both of us here are going to be affected by this. And I'm speaking out against it, and hence the purpose of this video. I don't like what I see that's going on, and I'm disturbed about it. I have no problem with a person approaching me warmly, in a civil manner, and getting a hold of me through whatever means they choose, because I've made myself available on all forms of social media. I'm not hard to get hold of. And suggesting to me to be careful about a person's social media platform because they have found their content to be of an offensive nature. I have no problem with them forewarning me of that. But what I cannot do, and hope an individual never asks me to do, is to pronounce judgment or see a verdict in place on a channel that they have already established as rude or offensive, and then turn around and push that on me and have me do the same. Even if I have reached an agreement with that person where I have concluded, candidly, that the nature of their content I find derogatory, inflammatory, or offensive. And based on that, though, they want me to advocate for an investigation or a discipline action, or, in the worst case scenario, removal of that person's platform simply because I find the nature of that content offensive or it has hurt my feelings. As an artist in good conscience, I cannot do that. I will not do that. Let me give you a little bit of a better example of what I mean. Let's say Jimi Hendrix all of a sudden decided not to play the guitar in the manner in which he played it simply because he thought he would be laughed at. He feared that people would make fun of him. Let's say Beethoven did not write choral symphonies anymore because his fellow artists and fans told him it's inappropriate and you can't do that, and people will make fun of you. What if Michelangelo decided that he wouldn't carve biblical figures out of marble anymore because he was afraid he would offend religious people? What if Nicholas Copernicus didn't publish on the revolution of the heavenly spheres because he feared that he would offend the Roman Catholic Church? What if Frederick Douglass wouldn't make anti-slavery speeches no longer because he was afraid he would offend white people? What if Buddha decided not to tell anyone anymore that your salvation lies within yourself and you don't have to have a God for that, because he was fearful that he would offend millions of people? Do you see where I'm going with this? Do you understand and appreciate what it is I'm trying to say? I don't need help being an artist. I don't need help being Mark Grego, any more than you need help of someone advising you, to telling you what you need to watch, what you need to read, what you need to create, what you need to paint, what you need to sculpt, what kind of poetry you should be writing, or what kind of short stories you should be writing. We don't need help with those things. We don't need mischievously elected people who sit on all of these platforms and dictate their will, because that's exactly what's happening here. YouTube has got to a point now where I can't even drop F-bombs. And if they don't even like the tone of my voice, they can demonetize my video. I'm not making this up. This is all true. McJuggernuggets, the big YouTuber who has almost 4 million subscribers, made a video about this just the other day, where it's entitled, I think I've been lying to myself. And he is expressing his disdain for YouTube, where everything is so limited that you can't say anything about anybody. Because if you offend somebody, your channel needs to be taken down. When has it been such a terrible thing to just walk away from somebody who offends you? Instead, we've turned it into a witch hunt, where not only are we going to take your channel down, and we're not going to give you a platform anymore, but we're also going to ruin your life. When did that become the norm? Is that the kind of social media that you want? Is that the kind of social media that we fought for in the American Revolution? Is that what you want? To be regulated, to be supervised, to have people in higher places tell you what you can and cannot watch and what you can and cannot create? That's not the America I grew up in. That's not the America I want to live in, and that is surely not the America I wish to perish in. Before I close this video out, because I don't like to take a lot of time up for you guys, I really appreciate the 10 minutes that you take to watch my videos, and I try to make things simple. And there's so much that goes through my head every time that I make a video, I have to stop and put the brakes on even while I'm speaking to you, because I don't want to take up a lot of your time, and I appreciate the time that you give me. But I'm going to give you a little lesson here in American history, okay? When Andrew Jackson secured the presidency of the United States, it was at great cost to him, especially his family, specifically his wife, Rachel. Rachel was the subject of outlandish and merciless gossip by the newspapers of the time. And of course, in Andrew Jackson's time, the social media, the big stool, of course, was the newspapers. The newspapers controlled everything that was going on, all the content and what people thought and what people spoke of as truth and what people spoke of as lies. And his poor wife was slandered in such a way that you can't even imagine how bad it was on her. You just can't. It was terrible. It was horrendous. It was so bad, and they called her names that are so terrible that I can't even tell you on YouTube what they are because of the guidelines that they have in place now. I can't. You can research this all yourself. I'm not making it up either. And she got sick over it. And she got so sick over it, she died. She died. All the terrible things that were said about her, she took to heart. Very much like now what CNN and Fox News and all our social media platforms do. It wasn't any different back in Andrew Jackson's time. It was just newspapers. People writing terrible things about people, whether they were true or not. Just like we do now. when he buried his wife, his supporters came up to him and said, "What are you going to do about all this? How are you going to handle this? Look what they said about your wife. She's dead." Andrew Jackson looked at his wife's grave and he looked back at them. And he muffled very, very quietly. He said, "I'm going to take the oath of office." Even Andrew Jackson understood how important and sacred our First Amendment is. And to procure that amendment for now and all coming time, that a person is allowed to slander somebody, even if you find it offensive. A person has a right to be heard and to speak as he wishes. Now, I am not talking about somebody who threatens you or threatens to kill you. I'm not talking about that form of free speech. That's where the police need involved and that person needs to be arrested. I'm not talking about that, just so we're perfectly clear. I'm talking about sitting in your house right now like I am, in your bedroom or living room or wherever it is, and you're sitting with a camera and making a YouTube video, and you're expressing your opinion. Because there are people on this globe right now who cannot do what I can do. They will be killed. Andrew Jackson understood the importance of having that right set in place for all people. I'm talking to the gay people, I'm talking to the straight people, I'm talking to the black people, I'm talking to the white people. I'm talking to all people who use this platform in a manner in which to express themselves. We are under attack. And Andrew Jackson understood that even if that right is used against him and his family personally, that right still needs to be there. He did not call for the abolishment of the Second Amendment or the First Amendment or any of the amendments. He did not call for the abolishment of the Constitution. He did not call for a witch hunt on the people who attacked his wife. He simply walked away. This is a platform for all of us. I want all of us to have a voice. I want all of us to be able to watch what we want, and I want all of us to be able to create the content that we want. I don't see why that's so hard to understand or appreciate. Andrew Jackson certainly understood it, and I know you can. This is a war that all of us are involved in. Now, I've given you my view on it. I'm not asking for money. I'm not asking for no donations. I'm not speaking for anybody. I'm just a guy that makes videos. The rest is up to you. It's in your ball corner now. I'm just giving you my opinion and what you think you should do. What should you do? Do you want to live like this? I don't think you do. I'll see you in the next video. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Let me know below in the comments what you think. Oh, by the way, one more thing I want to say to you before I close out this video. The famous blues singer Robert Johnson, he did not sell his soul to the devil. There is no evidence that he sold his soul to the devil. He never claimed he sold his soul to the devil. And I don't know why people keep thinking this. Robert Johnson wasn't that dumb. Done.